When the power went out, the power was out. They did not, a lot of people did not know that the levees was broken because there wasn't any power. And then a lot of people thought that the levees was 12 and 13 miles, that the water wasn't going to get to that area. So when the water got to the area, it came into their house where it was 6 feet and 7 feet, and what they see is water, and then that's how the children was lost. That's how the parents lost their kids, because the water came in.
It was unreal. I mean, the water, as far as you can see water. The trees, things you used to see weren't there anymore. Stores had them collapsed. Cars were floating in the water. You know, you'd never think that much metal could float at a speed that it was gone. I mean, metal, poles, snakes, power lines in the water. You had fire in the water from gas lines that were broke, that ignited. You were swimming up these streets, you know, gas in the water, oil in the water, chemicals, you know, syringes, all kind of stuff. So it was more than a hurricane you had to deal with.
We had heard on the news that a storm was in the, Caribbean or the Gulf or whatever, and we were nowhere in danger of this thing. But like I said, 2 or 3 days before the storm actually hit, they started telling us that we were in harm's way. It was going to be big. It was catastrophic. Thousands of people were going to die, and we would be without water and lights, and by no means there wouldn't be any type of emergency system. If you don't get out now, you're all on your own. And we had been faced with this several other times with Hurricane George, Hurricane Ivan being a threat to hit us. So we were like nonchalant about it, Well, they said this so much until we're just gonna go out and get water, supplies, and batteries for the flashlight, batteries for the radio, and we'll ride the storm out, because we didn't have any transportation. If they had told us ahead of time, like a week before, that, oh, y'all gonna be in harm's way, we would have took our paychecks and got tickets and got out of there, because we live from paycheck to paycheck,
When the mayor issued the evacuation and we went into the Superdome, I remember going to sleep and waking up around 1 o'clock, whether it was Saturday night or Sunday, I don't remember, but it was late at night, and I could hear some kind of noise, clapping, like a pounding, like almost like shutters on a window. And the roof, everyone looked up at the roof, and we could hear people saying, oh, the roof is gonna cave in, or the roof is, and then they were like, well, why the mayor told us to, come here, and this.
I sat there in my window, and I looked. I watched her do the damage. I watched my car windows get broken out. I watched cars just shake, and I didn't believe it till I sat there. I actually sat up 3, 4 in the morning and watched it.
Katrina passed with force winds that was shaking the hotel. And it shook the hotel so much to the tent on top of the hotel had just flew off, and it was just sitting on top of the roof. And it had weakened the roof and blocked the door off, the exit door to the roof.
We wasn't afraid after we watched it. We wasn't afraid. I said, well, a hurricane, a Category 5 isn't that bad after all. I wonder how all those people died from Betsy. And my husband even said, because they broke the levees. You forgot? I said, oh yeah, they did say they broke the levees.
Quickly, within a matter of hours, the water went from being at my porch to being at the top of my door sill in a matter of hours. And the water was nose high, and I'm 6 feet tall.
It was like puddles of water. But as the day grew older, at 3 o'clock, it was knee deep. At 6 o'clock, it was waist deep. And
right in your apartment?
Yeah.
All you saw in the media was black African American. What were the white people? I've heard my friends tell me that they were on their roof, and the reason why they were shooting at the helicopters and stuff, because they were bypassing them, going down the Bell Chase to get the white people out.
Helicopters, Coast Guard helicopters, flying by, passing, and there were white flags, towels, signs, and they basically just flew by.
And I go on the top of my building, Me being the young woman that I am looking for help, please. Because I felt like I was going to die every day. I'm waking up climbing on the top of a project building, just flashing the flashlight, just waving a shirt in the daytime, a white t-shirt, all that night flashing the flashlight for 2 nights straight, no help.
Once the water got up, you had no choice but to get in the water because you weren't getting rescued. You weren't being rescued. So it's like when you got to the point where you were really scared and you figured you needed to go, you had to get in the water. It was no choice. And I mean, parents who were in the house with 3 or 4 children and the water's up to the cabinet in the kitchen, you know, 2 feet below the ceiling, and you got to get your kids out, you got to get in the water.
Building across from us, a lady, she had like maybe 8 kids, and they rescued all of her kids, but she couldn't fit. They didn't come back for her till the next day, and she, I'm assuming as of now, she don't know where her kids are. There was no routine in the rescue, which understanding the situation, but we would think that you would keep families, try your best to keep families together, at least kids with their parents. And that wasn't the case.
I got through the days of basically like everybody else. I grabbed my family and I more or less tied them to me and got them out there. I don't mean tied with string, but like I kept my eyes on them. Where I went, they went. And I went in stores and I got food and I got water. And I also took stuff such as like Band-Aids, aspirins, sinus medication, stuff of this nature also, more than just food. I didn't take no clothing, I didn't take no alcohol, I didn't take no tobacco, I didn't take no guns, I didn't take no money. Now I must say, I did think about some money, and I did think about some firearms because it was a time I got scared that people was gonna come in and do my family harm. So yes, it did cross my mind, so I understand why some people did those things also.
I've heard a lot of gunshots. I've heard of shootings. I didn't actually see any, but the city was already corrupt, so I'm pretty more than sure they shot a lot of innocent people that they shouldn't have. I mean, it's a shame to use speculation, but they've been doing it. They've been shooting black people and trying to cover it up. I mean, and to say that the city was in that state, what would you need to shoot to kill all the fuck if you supposedly helping? They stranded. Anything that they're doing is out of an act of desperation. I mean, they will say that the white family, they just so happen to look up and find some food. I mean, yeah, don't get me wrong. Yeah, you don't have a need for jeans, you don't have a need for tennis shoes, but everybody, white, black, Mexican, Puerto Rican, they have the right to eat.
I look at the news and the people say refugees, you know, people stealing food. I mean, a lot of those stores was open up to the public. I don't know if y'all noticed or not. They were open to the public, some by NOPD, some by some of the owners and things, you know, because some people had heart. Everybody wasn't cold as some of you people. You know, some people were out here trying to do the right thing. Now, I went into a store and I was told, you can have anything you want toward food and water, just don't mess with, we don't want y'all taking no liquor, no tobacco, stuff of that nature. Otherwise, what they were saying to me was that we didn't want you taking nothing you just didn't necessarily need to live off of.
The so-called looting, that's what they call it, but it's not looting. We call it surviving. Cause whenever you're in a distress like this and 11 board police leave you, it's one technique you should do. Just go ahead. Don't matter what they call it. It's all about surviving and staying alive.
When you got other people coming in that's saying, don't take no water, or you can't have no water, you can't never tell no man that. Somebody gonna take water. Somebody gonna take food. I mean, you're wasting your breath asking them not to do it. Whether you can look at it like stealing or whatever, however you want to look at it. But the point is how that person looking at it. He looking at it sort of like, I got to feed my child. It's like if you talk to a mother, I know she understands what I'm saying. I'm going to feed my child. I don't care what you're talking about. I'm going to feed my child. Simple as that.
Zero tolerance for looting. Looting what? Looting food to eat? I mean, you got people stealing food, but you can't cook the food nowhere in the city because there's no electric. So you're cooking in a primitive manner like a caveman over fire, you know, and foil, a whole pizza to feed you and a, you know, family or siblings. But I mean, as far as looting, it wasn't nothing to loot. What are you gonna loot? Clothes? What's wrong with that? You don't have no clothes. The clothes you just had, you lost. So I mean, if stealing clothes to wear because you don't have any more clothes, or stealing food to eat because you're hungry, I don't see that as stealing, you know? And especially if you're not getting any government assistance or no police assistance in helping you, and no words or nobody informing you about what's going on.
It hit me to think about was somebody watching, because helicopters actually flying over us, just filming us, just looking at us on the roof, so we wondering where is help.
Well, it started out with the first day when everybody was seeing all the suffering that was going on in New Orleans, and people wading through water and not having food or anything. Everybody started talking about how horrible it is that nobody's coming to their aid. So we started all talking about, well, you know, we should be able to go down there and take these school buses and go get people, because if you take a calculator, you know, like even 50 buses times 65 passenger, that's thousands of people right there that you could bring back to safety. And so the buzz got out, and people were saying, well, I would do it, and I would do it for free. And a lot of these people that I work with are, you know, like, you know, it's like, well, bus drivers, you know, people are still, it's a struggle to survive, whether if you have children or, you know, or other family members that you're taking care of and things like that. And people were like really rising above that and saying, well, look, I'll do this for free.
They were turning trucks of supplies away. I'm not sure who they was coming from, but we actually saw them on the interstate right by the Superdome. We need water, we need water. A truck coming with a lot of supplies. They say the truck wasn't on their list and it had to go.
And when we drove through some parts of New Orleans, there were some people that were still in their houses. And you see a convoy of buses like this, HISD, Houston Independent School District, and people were out there cheering because they knew we were there to help. You know, but they didn't end up knowing that we weren't allowed to help. But they were waving and cheering, and like our supervisor had said, you know, that when people see these big old yellow school buses roll in, we're going to be their hope. And we never got to fulfill that. We never got to fulfill that, and I think that's criminal.
Until a boat came, on the 4th day, a boat came in the project and said, yeah, they on that bridge, but they don't have no water. They can't use the bathroom. They don't have no food. They can't go to the Superdome. The whole city is through. That's what hit me and said, we gonna die. If New Orleans is through like that, usually that's where everybody run to, the convention center and the Superdome. How you can't run to the convention center or the Superdome for help? How you call 911 and they don't want to talk to you? They just hang up in your face. How you call 911, the emergency number, and you don't even talk to nobody? And I'm like, I don't believe this. I really don't believe this.
Military never came checked up on us in the East, first of all. Coast Guards, well, let's just say they had their little speedboats just coming through to see who all was back there. As kids, a lot of families, adults, kids, hiding out the vents and out the windows. Help, come save us. We have no way out. We need food, we're hungry. They got sick people. All right, we come back is the message they give us. The answer they give us. All right, we be back, but don't see them. They don't come back. They just leave us there. So as the days and nights go by, we get ate up by mosquitoes. Don't know what kind of bacteria they got out there that we can easily inhale and get sick of. I mean, and it takes y'all 6 days to come rescue us?
So everybody was basically began to be for themselves. I mean, because by the time the Coast Guard began to come, people were like, no, that's okay, and they'll just take a boat with someone that they knew, that they felt comfortable with, because it's been days that they refused the citizens of help.
But while we were in the Superdome, this is when all hell broke loose. We were at the Superdome 4 days, and they had some kind of evil spirit where people thought that we were going to die. And in a sense, I felt that way too, but I didn't want to announce it because words have power. We were locked in the Superdome. We were mistreated. The military, they almost acted as if they wanted a civil war to break out.
You sweating, you hot, you thirsty, you changing clothes, you getting musty, you don't have nothing to wipe yourself off with. You can't even talk to your companion. You can't talk. It was so frustrating. It was like your life flashed in front of you. It was hell. And to say something like that happened, if you wasn't there, you can close your eyes and imagine the pictures that you seen on TV. But if you wasn't there, you would never know, because all people look at is what they see on TV and what they show, but they actually not telling and showing everything. They not.
After the lights went out, after the AC went out and all that, there was someone who had a bullhorn, and he said, well, we'll get you some water. And
This is in the Superdome.
we'll get you some water. We'll get a TV for you to monitor what's going on, because they wouldn't let us leave, and we had no way.
Who prevented you from
At the time, it was NOPD. Well, after that, after a couple of days, NOPD was gone. And then they brought in military police. The nickname we called it was MP. And they brought those guys in. And of course, at the time, they didn't have the military guns, but they were just enforcing rules and or what they could enforce. And you know, we of course we brought the necessities and things like that. Most people did, water, food. But when that went out, then we were waiting, and so 2 days after that they served water.
Evacuate. You had to get out the best way you knew how. They said buses were going to pick people up from the convention center, but none of those buses ever came until later.
And in the last minute, we were told that it was off because, FEMA / the Bush regime decided that 94 buses wasn't worth it. That if we didn't have at least 100 buses, it wasn't worth the trip down there. And I know myself, I got so angry over that, that I took a calculator out and threw it at this guy, and I said, look, do the math. 94 buses times 55 or 60 people. You tell me they can tell you that this is not worth it?
People really started getting to Houston, Texas, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Now, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, what was going on? What's the holdup? We're getting word from different people that they're bringing buses for us to evacuate, but the buses are never coming. So in the meantime, people are starving. Children nobody's bathed, so the smell is unbearable. I mean, no food, no water. If you drop 20 cases of water down out of a helicopter for 10 or 12,000 people, that's pandemonium.
Old people falling out from heart attacks. People, the gentleman that was sitting next to me inside the Superdome, my husband had befriended him because he was an older guy and he had the strength to make it to the Superdome. And my husband tried to encourage him not to give up because he kept saying he was having chest pains, but they had no medical team there to see about us in the Superdome. That's why when I watched the news and they said a medical team at the Superdome did this and did that, we couldn't even get an aspirin there. We hardly got a drink of water. You know how you're so deprived, dehydrated until you feel yourself being dizzy and faint, your mouth, you probably don't know, but your mouth is so dry until it feels like you have nothing but cotton in it. And you're just thirsty, and you're at the point where you're almost getting desperate enough to drink that water. That's how I was, but my husband held me back until he got us drinking water.
We got a barbecue grill, and while people were stealing shirts and TVs and camcorders, we were stealing charcoal. We stole charcoal. I've never barbecued a pizza a day in my life, but I barbecued pizza, Hot Pockets, you know, all the good, whatever you could eat. But I felt like whatever we have extra, after we eat, whatever we have extra, you can have it, you know, because you're not guaranteed to keep none of it. But you're gonna evacuate with 100 Hot Pockets. You know, it'll be bad by the time you get wherever you're going. There's no ice in the city. So, I mean, there's no drink, you know, water that you can drink. All the water lines are turned off. They turn the water off. So, I mean, you might as well feed everybody else. And we would tell them, hey, you going down there and get something out the store? Yeah. Think about some charcoal if you're hungry, you know? Before you go get all that liquor and them cigarettes, bring a bag of charcoal back and maybe you can eat. They come back with the charcoal. Come back with the charcoal and some food. Look, hey, put this on the grill, no problem. You gotta eat a hot meal, put it on the grill, everybody eat. You know, if you had food that you could eat, we didn't have no problem letting them heat it on the grill or, you know, sharing with them. All we had was each other. I might feed you, and at the same time, I might need some toilet paper. You know, one hand wash the other.
I said, what is it that black people captured that they hate so much? Because it was just so crazy how much they showed they hated the black people. And then they said that the black males couldn't go along for the ride with the black females. And my husband said they must really gonna kill the black men. So I said, no, I'm gonna go and speak with someone because I can't see myself leaving my son, my 16-year-old son here, and my husband, while me and my daughters ride off into the sunset. I had my son and I married you for better or for worse, so if you can't go, I'm not leaving either. He said, no, I want y'all to go. I'm gonna take care of myself and I'm gonna take care of our son. I said, no, I'm not leaving without my son and I'm not leaving without you. So we had to literally beg those people to let my son come along, and my husband passed out from being exhausted because he saved several old people.
I have 3 family members that are incarcerated, and all of them were in Orleans Parish Prison. They were locked in the jail from Sunday. They had a few deputies. They even had deputies there with their families, but they basically were told they fed them Sunday morning, gave them a cooler, something to drink, and told them, y'all have to ride it out. Okay, that was the last they saw the deputy. No lunch, no dinner. That night, that very night, Sunday, the lights went out. No lights, no power, no air. I mean, and the glasses, they don't have glass. They have glasses, but they aren't windows to be open. It's no ventilation. It's like it's basically being in a metal and glass box. They were locked in cells. They had to break out of the cells, bust the windows just to have air. The story is that 15 inmates died because they were in isolation, a hole. So that's basically the basement. They didn't have a chance.
As we all know, they blew the floodgates. They blew the levee. That's how the flood came in.
I don't want to use the word conspiracy, but it really does seem like it was a conspiracy because the water didn't come into the city until the day after the storm.
With the Ninth Ward, we got west of us, we got the river. East of us, we have the Lake Pontchartrain, and through the Ninth Ward runs a canal called the Industrial Canal. So we're surrounded by water. We're gonna flood, you know, and they so-called broke the dam, the levee, to let some of the water pressure off the river and the lake into the Ninth Ward, which caused a big disaster.
They've been trying to rid us of the neighborhood that we lived in. So, we began to look at it as they leaving us here for to die because they want their property back. And basically that's what it was. The history was they were tearing down the majority of the housing developments in New Orleans. And they offered some people Section 8, or they offered them maybe a certain amount to move. And everybody didn't get that offer because they were taking it step at a time about the money that was available. And they just ran out of money. The city was so corrupt, they ran out of money. So now they can't move, the city can't move on with their plans.
I ain't have nothing. I had to leave everything. Everything that I had underwater. High school diploma, prime pictures, Medicaid card, birth certificate, social security card, state ID, my driver's permit. A lot of my stuff, all my clothes, my appliances and things, all that's just destroyed, gone. But then they talking about giving us $2,000 like that's gonna settle our pains. I worked 7 years to get what I had. And you think $2,000 just gonna keep me straight? You think $2,000 gonna satisfy me? Not in this lifetime. I worked too hard for mine. It wasn't nothing for me to get out there and sell drugs. It wasn't nothing for me to go and kill this person and just go off in their pocket and take their money. It wasn't nothing for me to do that, but I chose not to go that way. I'm a hard-working, honest man, and you had them laws messing with the wrong ones.
So, you got to try to wait it out wherever you are, the best way you know how. And the money that FEMA and Red Cross is bird feeding you to keep you content temporarily is only going to last so long. And they're not looking at what's going to happen when that money runs out and you've evacuated a whole city into another city. And people who are, who've struggled for so long and only know certain things, because it's like the city's been sheltered, but what's going to happen when those funds run out and people start getting evicted and having no place to go? It's going to be hell here. And somebody's going to have the answer up.
I used to sit down in front of the television at home in my nice, comfortable apartment and I wonder why Bin Laden hates Bush so much. What is it that Bush, me and my little small mind, I couldn't even fathom why this man hated him so much. But now I know why. And I pray on it and ask God to take this out of my heart because I want to see Jesus and I don't want to have to hate this person so much till I wish he was dead and I wish he would go through the things that my children went through. My daughter never had a seizure and she had a seizure.